Welcome to How to Build a Blackgates Sweet Pea 5-inch gauge locomotive, Part 43, making the missing component on the motion bracket which allows the crosshead guide to be bolted in position. It's a very simple component and extremely easy to make. It needs to be a carbon copy of the one I already have. And here is the one that I already have. The hole is not exactly in the centre, but that's not a bad thing. It does allow for adjustment. And I'm making no excuses. The part that I'm going to make really will be a carbon copy of this. The hole is slightly offset to one side from left to right. Before I start making the component, which really is very simple to make, I'd just like to mention a few things. I have the glands for the piston rod. The problem is the diameter of the gland does not fit in the hole, which is not a good thing. The design means that this gland has to put pressure on an O-ring in a recess on the cylinder cover. The small recessed hole in the cylinder cover is 3/8 of an inch in diameter, but the gland nuts are not 3/8 of an inch in diameter, so I will have to modify that. Not in this episode though, because I intend to modify the gland arrangement so that I can use PTFE yarn rather than an O-ring. The problem is the O-ring will wear and eventually need changing, and I intend to fit the crosshead to the piston rod using Loctite 603. Loctite 603 is an anaerobic adhesive, and once you fit metal parts together using it, they really are tight. But in order to break the bond, you have to heat the part, and I really don't want anybody to have to do this in the future. And there's enough metal in the rear cylinder cover to make a proper stuffing gland. In this episode though, I'm not going to be messing about with the glands. Instead, I'm going to make a fitting just like this one to support the other end of the other crosshead guide. Over now to my old bandsaw, and I'm cutting one of the original crosshead guides. I might as well because it's the right size. I'm just cutting off the badly made end bit. The bandsaw blade has been in this machine for quite a long time, and I'm really surprised how it still cuts so well. Because this is a square piece of metal bar, I'm using my Smart & Brown lathe because it's fitted with a 4-jaw self-centering chuck. I need to turn part of this bar down to 3/16 of an inch and then thread it 2BA. A very simple plain turning job. If you want to do a job like this and you don't have a 4-jaw self-centering chuck, then you can use a standard 4-jaw chuck. A quick health and safety warning: I need to turn down this piece of metal to 3/16 of an inch, and I'm using a steel rule to gauge the length that I want, which is 1/2 inch. But I don't recommend using a steel rule near a revolving chuck. It's very important to get a good thread on this part, not a rattle fit, a perfect fit. And I'm making sure that I'm turning the part to exactly 3/16 of an inch in diameter. I verify this with a micrometer, and as you can see the chuck is still revolving slightly, but that's just the drag of the oil in the gearbox. Even I'm not stupid enough to use a micrometer on a revolving part. This is the final cut, which coincidentally is the same name as the editing program that I use every day. And with a bit of luck, it should end up being 3/16 of an inch in diameter. At the moment on screen I'm doing something wrong. I didn't want this part to be threaded where it goes through the motion bracket. What I should have done is turned it all the way down to 3/16 of an inch. It wasn't a problem though, as I'll be showing very shortly. I finished it off at the end. Here I'm applying some metal cutting lubricant, very useful stuff to have. And I'm using one of my preloaded dies in these manual die stocks. In an ideal world, and if I had enough money, I would buy about 20 tailstock die holders, but this works just as well. I'm using the tailstock chuck to keep it in the right position and stop it wandering. And by using individual die holders for each die, I can preset them to cut accurate threads. Anything that saves time in the workshop is a good thing. When I screw a commercial 2BA nut onto the thread, it's an absolutely perfect fit, no shake, rattle or roll. The threaded part did end up slightly longer, so now it's time to trim the end, which I'm doing here. After turning it to the correct length, I used a file to clean up the end. You don't have to do this part, but it does make the job look better. After this, I concluded the turning by reducing the diameter to 3/16 of an inch on the bit that I missed. When I looked at the part after I reduced the diameter, I thought it would be a good idea to just refit the die and cut a little bit more thread to be on the safe side, because it's really important that this part is held very securely to the motion bracket. Now I just need to cut it to the right length. Here I'm using the bandsaw and I'm cutting it slightly longer than I need it because I want to machine the end to get a good finish. Using my Sharpie black marker pen, which is actually blue, I make a mark on the part that I've just made. Now the metal blocks are both the same size. In this close-up you can see on the left-hand side one that the hole is not exactly in the centre, but as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to duplicate this because sometimes you do need a tiny bit of adjustment, and you can get this just by turning the part over. The important part is that they're both the same size. This is the part that I've just made fitted to the motion bracket, and when I fitted the guide bar in place, everything was good. I fitted the one at the other side, and as you can see, the pistons move in and out easily without any interference from the guide bars. And that is it for this episode. More to follow. Stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.